This is the brand new FMP13 thermal sight. It is by far the smallest thermal I've ever seen. Let's talk about it. Going through the specs real quick. Price, $700. Thermal sensor resolution 256. Battery life 5 hours. It does have a Type-C port on the side. It doesn't charge the battery though. That's just for an external power source if you want to plug it in or update the software. IP67 rating. Temperature range from -4 to 122, and overall weight coming in under 4 ounces, which is wild. So full disclosures, what's my relationship with this company and this product? Originally, a friend had texted me a video of somebody using this at a trade show. I figured out who made it, what the product was, and sent them an email. So I did receive this product for free, but that's the extent of the relationship. All right, let's get into the pros and cons. Starting with the good stuff, number one, I'd say the price. At $700, this is a very competitively priced thermal. This is definitely punching above its weight in terms of its pricing, and that is a breath of fresh air in the thermal industry. Obviously, the size and weight of this is unlike anything that's been on the market before. Having a thermal capability in the size of a pistol dot, albeit a large pistol dot, is totally new. It's about the size of a Swamp Fox Kraken. If you can see, it's chunky. It's not a small red dot. It is in the realm of a red dot. Here's a Holosun EPS. You can kind of see the comparison there. It is slightly smaller than a Trijicon MRO. Another good thing about this optic are the color palettes of the thermal sensor. They've got the rainbow, white hot, black hot, and then FLIR calls it outdoor alert. I don't know what they call it here, but it's basically like white hot, but if something's really hot, it'll show orange, so it's very easy to pick out. That's the mode that I use and I would recommend. It makes it very easy to spot things, and when there's a large gradient, it really is bright orange and sticks out well. Another good thing about the optic is the mounting system. There's loads of adapters between the RMR and this. It's a very solid mount. It is a bit tall. It does raise the optic up a little bit, but it's not a huge issue. Another thing I like about this optic is the simplicity. A lot of thermal sights have the tendency to, just because they can doesn't mean you should. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no GPS, there's no like Solitaire on this optic. It's just a thermal sight. There's no recording capabilities, which means they can get the price down a little bit because they don't have all that nonsense on here, and it's just a sight. Another thing I like about this is the replaceable battery. I understand the appeal of having a rechargeable battery, but having the ability to very quickly swap out batteries is a huge advantage. You don't have to wait around for your battery to charge. You don't have to have some sort of cable running off it. I think just having disposable, reusable batteries is hands down the best way to go for this. So a lot of their marketing has it advertised as a pistol sight, and it uses the RMR footprint. And you can mount this to a pistol, and you can shoot with it with a pistol. I think that the use case of having this as optic on your pistol is very rare. This would block all other sight options for your pistol. You're not going to have any backup iron sights. You're not going to have anything else. I just can't think of a use case where this would make sense to have it on a pistol. I want to take a quick moment and thank the channel members. We don't have a Patreon or anything like that. If you want to support the channel, hitting that join button is a great way to do so. We also have the jackets and hats at theaftstore.com. Thanks for your support. I did run into a couple of problems using this on a pistol. Number one, it was kind of auto-gating. Granted, I was using a 5.7 pistol, so this does kind of give you a bit of a flash. Yeah, locked up again. I don't know if you can see it, it's totally frozen. It'll come back in a second. There it is. You can see in the thermal camera, everything is solid white. There, and fixed itself. And it would kind of lock up for 3 to 5 seconds, and during that time, it's totally unusable. It just doesn't work for 5.7 pistols. The flash is too much in it, and it cuts out. Now, if you put a suppressor on this, no problem. It's not auto-gating. Like on the pistol, the flash on this doesn't auto-gate the thermal. I also ran into a similar issue when I was trying to showcase the thermal aiming at a candle. Aiming it at the flame would cause the thermal to cut out. So this is looking at some candles and it cuts out. So when it's a small part of the screen, it can handle fire no problem. But as you get closer, if I can try and keep this in focus, it reaches some certain point where it just quits. Yeah. All right, so I grabbed my G1A thermal monocular. This is the only other thermal I have on hand, and we'll give this a go. Looking straight into fire, no problem. Oh, all right, so if I like literally put the sensor on the flame, it freaks out a little bit, which is kind of understandable, but this does not seem to be having the same sort of issues that the pistol thermal has. The battery life isn't the greatest. They advertise 5 hours. In my testing, both on the lowest brightness setting and on the highest brightness setting, I get about 5.5 hours. That didn't really have a significant impact on the duration of its battery life. So another thing I don't really like about the battery is the battery type. It uses the CR2 battery, which is different than the CR123s that all my flashlights and other tactical gun stuff uses. The sensor resolution is 256 by 192, which is pretty outdated at this point. Like 1080p sensors are available at the high end, and 640 is really what I would consider to be the bare minimum. The main interface for this sight is the rear touchscreen. Now, I can understand the appeal of using a touchscreen. It sounds fun, but number one, people wear gloves when they shoot guns, and that can cause problems. Number two, have you ever tried to use your phone in the rain? Any sort of like water or debris kind of renders the interface useless. Also, it's a very small touchscreen, which is fine for just like quick swipe motions, but the like pinch and zoom when you try and like increase the magnification is not great. It's just not great. I just don't think a touchscreen has any place on something that's going to see any serious use. It's fine for like civilian hunting, but any sort of military or duty application, I think this is just a hindrance. The zeroing for this sight was also a little bit weird. All right, we're going to try to zero this thing. It looks like it's done in units of pixel. That's fun. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to zero it if my steel target or my cardboard is one temperature. Let me figure that out. In the bottom of the box, I have found 2 thermal zeroing targets. Made ingredients, activated carbon iron powder. This is just a hand warmer. This feels like a hand warmer. All right, so we're gonna shoot a hand warmer and zero off of this. 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. Hopefully you don't want to have a zero more accurate than that. Yep, this is a hand warmer with a bit of adhesive on the back. Let's see. Yep, that's exactly what this is. All right, well, that's what we got. All right, so downrange we have the thermal adhesive stuck to the steel target. I'm gonna give it a go. I'm trying to do a 25-yard zero. So this is what I'm working with. It's kind of hard to see in the darkness. If I do the other mode, it is pretty hard to see as well. You can see the berm in the back. They're getting warmed by the sun. That's why it's brighter. Steel target, not so warm. You know what? I've got an idea. We'll give that a go. Now we're talking. We got a bright spot right there to zero off of. So here is the plate that I heated up with the torch, and then here is the steel plate with the little heat pad that I still can't see, and it's been about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna use this. All right, I'm gonna try and show this. So we have hold button for target, and then you pull up the menu. We're gonna do zeroing. And then in units of pixel, we can adjust. Oh, it gives you a little conversion there. 1 pixel is 2 MOA. All right, so we're doing this in units of half pixel. So this is 1 MOA adjustment, approximately. All right, we have zeroed the optic. That was actually a lot better than I was expecting. Now, if you're going to try and zero this sight, or really any thermal sight, instead I would recommend just taking a normal zeroing target and taping a little piece of aluminum to the center. The thermal gradient between the aluminum and the paper will give you a nice little dot to zero off of. This to me makes a lot more sense than the little heaty pad thing. Now this sight is brand new to the market. This is Gen 1 software, Gen 1 firmware. There are going to be some tweaks and things that are going to need to be improved over time. Some of that stuff is easy just with a software update. Some things that I would recommend changing software-wise, the quick adjust settings, I think need to be rethought out. Like swipe left for darker, swipe right for brighter. Brightness settings is something you're going to need to adjust quickly. The color of your reticle can be in a menu. Also, if you're going to have so many reticle options, I'd like a BDC reticle or something that actually has drop. I don't know if I'd actually use it, but it seems like a simple thing to add, so you have that there if somebody wants it. Despite the stuff I don't like about this, and despite the features I think is missing, this is a very compelling option, especially at the price point. Now, if they had priced this like $1,500, I would be saying a very different thing, but given how competitively I think this is priced, the capability this provides is significant. Prior to this device coming to market, there were really 4 options for shooting at night. Either you had a dedicated scope, either night vision or thermal, you had a thermal or night vision clip-on, you had a laser for aiming under night vision, or you could passively aim under a red dot. This now gives you the capability to have a QD add-on, so you retain all of those other functions and still have thermal capability on your weapons platform. I think this makes a lot of sense just to have as a QD mount, throw it in a pouch, and then when the lights go out, clip it on, turn it on, then you have 5 hours of thermal capability. And having a tangential thermal option instead of just a 100% dedicated scope means that during the day I can take this off, or if I don't need thermal detection capabilities, I can just take this off and I have a better suited optic for daytime use or just other use. Now if you're a hunter, I think this would make sense. If you had your traditional rifle scope and then a little RMR adapter on top, you could easily mount this up there and then you have thermal capability. If you're a cop or military, I don't think this makes sense on a pistol, but I do think that this would make sense on a little QD mount, just so that you can quickly pop it on your rifle and you have that thermal detection capability. I think what it really makes sense at is a civilian preparedness sense, because military and law enforcement have access or the budget to get frankly better stuff than this, but it's also like an order of magnitude more expensive. Where the value really comes into play is the civilian market. A lot of the lessons coming out of modern combat like Ukraine and others is you need thermal capability. If you don't have thermal capability, the other guy's going to have thermal capability and you're going to have a bad time. So allowing the civilian market to get thermal capability at a competitive price I think is excellent. I think the size and weight is excellent. And I think that there are a lot of kinks. This is like a Gen 1 product, I'll say, but even in its current state, it has its uses. I think it's pretty cool to see an entire new category of optic hit the market. If you have any thoughts about it, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Thanks for watching.